Hey, how many of y'all were out here last week for our first week of Storytellers? I was here. Wasn't that such a phenomenal and encouraging word from Kyle Cox, my man right in the back? Man, we all left feeling inspired and encouraged by his story and everything that God's done. And now we have the opportunity and privilege of being in week 2 of Storytellers. But before I go any further with that, I just wanted to get a quick raising of hands. Who is going to United Night? Every hand should be raised. Every single hand. Yeah, Devin, you have no excuse, bro. Your hand should definitely be raised. United Night's coming up on April 25th, and we actually put some of those invite tickets. They're not even like cards, they're tickets. Those tickets to give out to a friend or somebody that you want to come out with you. We have a lot more of them out in the foyer whenever you guys leave, but we really want to encourage you. Invite your friends out. Make sure that you bring out some people. It's going to be a really great night. We have some games, activities, stuff for you guys to do. We have a lot of popcorn, and gosh, yeah, Drew, you love popcorn, bro. You love popcorn. No, like you love it. We're gonna have a lot of stuff there for you though, and it's gonna be a great night. So make sure you invite all your friends out, and whenever you give them that ticket, remind them that if they fill that out, they're actually gonna be entered into a drawing to win a pair of Adidas NMDs or a free movie pass for an entire year. Free movies for a year. You guys don't like movies at all? Wow. You guys are tough tonight. We're going to break you in a little bit for my man Tyler Light, who's actually going to be bringing his story tonight. And before we bring Tyler up, I figured it was fitting to just tell this little story about how I actually met Tyler. So we were playing basketball probably 3 years ago? Yeah, 3 years ago. We were playing basketball with a group of guys, and so I had met him before, but I was like, hey, and I leaned over to Josh. I was like, who is this guy? Who does he think he is? And Josh is like, oh, that's Tyler. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I went up and I introduced myself. And after I shook his hand, I walked back over and Josh is like, hey, you did know that he's like a professional golfer, right? And I was like, what? I was like, he's a professional golfer? And then the entire night I was walking around, I'm like, hey, this guy's a professional golfer. That's Tyler. He's a professional golfer, just if you didn't know. And now we've been best friends ever since. But hey, can you guys stand up to your feet real quick? Give him a warm, united welcome as we welcome Tyler Light to the stage.
Thank you. Austin, thank you, my man. I remember that like it was yesterday. And I want to apologize in advance. I woke up a little bit of a sickness. So if I sneeze and cough, sneeze on you guys in the front row, just forgive me. Let's see here. Yeah, like Austin said, my name is Tyler Light. I am 27 years old. I graduated from Malone University in 2014. I went to Perry High School, graduated in 2009. Any Panthers out there? About 3 of you. Awesome, good. Grew up in church. Was in church my entire life. I started attending Faith Family when I was probably, 3 years old or so. Got saved when I was 7, Vacation Bible School. That's right, VBS. I knew what I wanted to do at a really young age. I was 3 years old when I first played 9 holes of golf. I shot 63. Going through elementary school, I was telling everybody I want to be a professional golfer, I want to play golf, I want to play professionally. And I get to 5th grade and my teacher goes, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? I said, I want to play professional golf. He said, no, what do you want to do? I said, I want to play golf. He goes, do you know what the odds are of you playing professional golf? I said, no. He goes, Tyler, you're not going to do it. You have to pick something else. And from that moment on, I remember that, because that was my fuel. That's been my fire for my entire life, to prove him wrong. That was my fire. So I get into high school and still want to play professional golf. And I remember when I was 16. I was 16 years old, and I kind of started doing some things that weren't really Christ-like. I was still going to church, still in church. But I wasn't drinking, wasn't partying, but the girls kind of got in the way. I was making some bad decisions. I was in a bad relationship. I was just doing some things that weren't right. Ended up going to Malone University. And I thought, you know what? With me struggling throughout my high school year, I want to start over. I want to go to Malone. I want to surround myself with Christian people because, that's going to make it easier for me to follow the Lord. Turns out that's not necessarily the case. Even Christians can cause you to fall away from the Lord, and that's what happened with me. See, when I was at Malone, I was still golfing, still striving to be a golfer, but I got into the party scene. I remember my sophomore year, I was partying, I was drinking, I was doing drugs. That's not me. But yet, I was still going to church. I was still there every Sunday. But I was only at church. I wasn't in church. Now, there's a difference between being at church and being in church, between being involved in church and just going and sitting in the back and doing my thing. So I graduated in 2014, decided to move to Myrtle Beach because I could play golf all year round. Not once did I ever ask God or contemplate, hey, Lord, what's your will for me? What do you want me to do? So now I'm going on 4 years now of doing it my way. God, I got this. I can do this. Moved down to Myrtle Beach. At the time, I was in a relationship, and it was not a healthy relationship. Again, not a God-ordained relationship. And then I decided I want to go play in Canada. I want to play on PGA Tour Canada. And how this works is that there's a qualifying tournament. There's 4 throughout the entire country, 150 guys at each site. They take the top 12. Now, top 12 earn full status for the entire year. They get to play the entire summer on PGA Tour Canada. So I sign up, I play, I finish in 4th. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, let's go. I'll be on PGA Tour Canada, I'm gonna do this. God, I know I'm not really living for you, but you're still good, you're still faithful. Once I get up to Canada, I'm gonna live for you. So I get up there, first tournament in Vancouver, British Columbia. I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna kill it. Got God on my side, I'm good. I get up there, finish close to last place, kind of threw me for a loop. Not only did that happen, but at the time, my girlfriend, she broke up with me. And I was like, that was a dark place. I remember that. That really threw me for a loop. I spent that entire summer, instead of diving into the Word and staying on the relationship with the Lord, I went to a temporary medication. That was my drinking, the partying, the talking to girls. You see, I went to my temporary medication rather than my eternal revelation, my eternal restoration. So I finished my career up there, was up there the whole summer, and came back down in the wintertime, and I still wanted to play professional golf. I still wasn't. I was praying at God, not praying with God, still trying to figure out, man, why am I not playing well? What's going on? So that winter, I needed to make some money to raise money for golf, so I had to work at a sawmill. So I worked at a sawmill from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. It was about an hour drive. So I have to wake up at 4:30, get home at 5 o'clock. I did that throughout the entire wintertime. And throughout this whole time, this is a great opportunity for me to get into church, get into the Word. But instead, I'm still up partying, still hanging with my old friends, still doing my same thing. That spring comes around, and I want to qualify for PGA Tour Canada again. You're like, you know what? I'm going to get it back because I don't quit. I don't give up. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to get back up there. I'm going to live for God. I'm going to change this. I'm going to do it differently. You see, I thought I could flip a switch and just say, you know what? I'm going to be on fire for God. Just like that. I'm going to do it. So I signed up for qualifying school, do the same thing. I finished 5th place this time. Going right back up to Canada. It's game time. Let's do this, baby. Let's do this. Very first tournament up there, I play poorly. And I had the same reaction as I did in the previous years because I did not have a solid foundation on the Word of God. I did not have a strong base. Whenever a storm came, it just took me away. I went to my temporary medication rather than my permanent restoration, which should be the Word. Second tournament was in Kelowna, British Columbia. I remember this. I played poorly yet again. So now I'm going on about 3 years of playing terrible golf. I'm going on 8 years of doing it my way. My way. I can do this, God. I got this. I remember after the second round, playing poorly, missed the cut, played awful. I remember I got down on my knees and I yelled, I said, God, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Your will, not my will. Your way, not my way. I can't do it. I can't. And for the first time in my life, I prayed a prayer that I never prayed before. And it wasn't about my golf game. It wasn't about my family. It wasn't about money. It wasn't anything of that. It was, God, I need a girl in my life. I need a woman. God, send me my wife. I need my wife. A couple of days later, he put my now fiance on my mind. Yeah. Getting married this summer. Hey, yo, let's go. Not only that, but I also got something else from God. He said to go home. Go home. But God, I've spent my entire life grinding and working and getting to this position. No, I don't want to go home. Let me stay up here the rest of the summer. I'll live for you. I can do this. I got this. No, Tyler, go home. Go home. See, that required a step of obedience, and on the other side of obedience is a blessing. Every big step of obedience you take is a bigger blessing. And that's riddled throughout the entire Bible. Everywhere, any miracle that Jesus did, it required a step of faith, a step of obedience. In John chapter 9, Jesus heals 2 blind guys. He spit in some clay, made it into mud, put the mud on their face. Instead of Jesus kind of just wiping away with his robe, he said, no, I need you to go down over to that water over there. I need you to wash off. Well, God, why do I have to do that? The step of obedience. So they went and washed off their eyes, and they could see. John chapter 2, when Jesus turned water into wine. Huge jars, empty jars, out of wine. Jesus, why don't you just poof wine in there? No, he says, hey, I need you guys to fill this up to the brim. Fill it up to the brim, and I'll turn water into wine. They took that step of obedience, boom, water into wine. Back in the Old Testament, we go to Joshua, walking around the walls of Jericho. God told his army, he said, hey, I need you to walk around the walls for 7 days and the walls will fall. Well, these are warriors, so warriors are going to want to fight. Why are they going to want to walk? But they took that step of obedience. They walked for 7 days and the walls fell. Side note, what's so cool about that story is that the previous 6 days when they walked, the walls weren't slowly crumbling, they weren't cracking. There was no sign of God showing up. No sign. That tells me that you can be right on the edge of a blessing, of a miracle, but don't stop. Don't stop. Keep going. Just because you're not seeing signs of progression doesn't mean progression isn't being made. So I went home, and when I went home, I was able to develop a relationship with Rach. I was able to develop a relationship with the Lord. And I finally, Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and live righteously, and he'll give you everything you need. Seek him first. And it was the first time in my life that I was seeking him first. Another thing that she did for me, is something I've known for the previous 10 years, that I need to take that step of faith. I need to live that Matthew 6:33 life. And that's what she did for me. During that time, I changed my golf swing. I met with a different swing coach. So I spent that summer working on my golf game, working on my relationship, developing a relationship with her. Fall comes around, I'm thinking, okay, how do I get to the PGA Tour? And I signed up for a web.com qualifying school, which essentially there's 4 or 5 different sites throughout the entire country, 3 different stages, and you can get to the web.com by that way. I signed up for a golf course that I've known really well. I know the golf course like the back of my hand. I have a relationship with the Lord. I have a relationship with my future wife. I'm good. I'm gonna have success. I'm gonna win this tournament. So I go there and I fail. I finished in 65th place. They're taking the top 20. I failed. But because my foundation was on the Word, because I had a solid rock, I didn't get blown away in the storm. I was still good. I was still at peace. I was like, you know what, God? It's your will, not my will. So I came home. I wasn't defeated. For the first time in my life, I said, you know what? Maybe golf isn't what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I'm supposed to do something else. And I wrestled with this because I looked at it as quitting, and I just don't quit. I never quit anything. And I met with Pastor Noah Nickel. He said, don't look at it as quitting, Tyler, but just look at it as turning the page. I was like, oh, you know what? You're good. That's good. All right. So I turned the page, and God works best when you're a moving vehicle. So that's what I decided to move. I decided to move. God's going to open doors. He's going to shut doors. So I tried different avenues. I tried to get involved with a after-school organization called Sports World. And this is a bunch of ex-professional athletes that go into schools, deliver a message of hope. And I was like, man, I could do that. I like that. The CEO is a great man of God, and go through the interview process, and he says, hey, Tyler, we'd love to bring you aboard. I think you'd be a great asset. He's like, but I don't think you're done with golf. You're not done. It's like, well, all right then, okay. Well, okay. Try a couple different other things, and all roads, all doors led back to golf. So I had to raise some money to play in the springtime. So what I did, I worked at UPS. I worked midnights. I threw packages around. I would work midnights, and then I would go practice during the day, develop a relationship with her. And then on Sundays, I was serving at King's Church. I was serving in the children's ministry. So I did that for 4 months. By the grace of God, I have no idea how I got through that season. He gave me the strength because I didn't sleep at all for about 4 months. Sorry. That spring, I decided to try to qualify for the U.S. Open. Now, the U.S. Open is the pinnacle of the golf world. It is, here's the Masters and here's the U.S. Open. This is the NBA Finals of golf. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. I'm going to try it. And how you get through it is there's a sectional qualifier, or there's a local qualifier and then a sectional qualifier. There's 120 local qualifiers across the country, 150 guys at each site. And at my location, it was in Columbus. They take the top 7. I finished second. It's like, okay, we're moving on. Okay, that's good. Go to sectionals. And this is where you're going up against like guys that are 70th in the world, 100th in the world, 150th in the world. They're pretty good. Down in Cincinnati, Springfield, they have 120 guys that are going to take the top 4. When I finish, after 36 holes, I'm in 4th place. It's like, oh, I might be going to the U.S. Open. I'm starting to think, you know, all this time, all this work, it's finally paying off. God, you're a good God. You're a good God. You're a faithful God. About a half hour later, a guy comes in, beats me by 1 shot, puts me into 5th place. Boom, dreams crushed. But again, because I had a solid foundation, because I had my life was built around the Word, I wasn't blown away. I was like, you know what, God, it's your will, not my will. We're going to be good. It's fine. My friends were there. My grandpa was there. He was all upset. It's like, you know what, guys, let's forget it. It's okay. Let's go to Rally's. We'll get a cheeseburger, get a milkshake. Let's relax, have a good time. So we're eating there, and all of a sudden my caddy looks at his phone. He goes, hey, Tyler, you're in a playoff for a first alternate spot. Now, a first alternate spot is if someone at the US Open were to drop out, I would take their place. I'm thinking, ain't nobody dropping out of the US Open. There's no way. So, go to the playoff, and I feel no pressure because I don't think it's that a big deal. I win the playoff. I get a phone call 2 weeks later from the director of the United States Golf Association. Devin, come on, man. He says, this Tyler Light. I said, yes, it is. He goes, hi, Tyler. I just want to let you know you're playing in the 117th United States Open. I was like, oh, that's sweet. But not only did I play, we serve an Ephesians 3:20 God. Now all glory be to God through his mighty power at work within us, is able to give us infinitely more than we may ever ask or even think. After that first round, I was on the leaderboard. I was in 5th place. I would have never thought that. God is so good. He's so good. I ended up making the cut, which meant I was able to make a check. I played on Sunday with one of the greatest golfers of all time. His name's Ernie Els. He's going to go in the Hall of Fame. An unbelievable guy. Unbelievable guy. And with that check, I was able to buy her a big old ring and give her a ring that she deserved. But you know, it's so funny. It's so funny about that entire experience that the only reason why I'm here is because I had failures in Canada. The only reason why I'm engaged to her is because of my failures in Canada. The only reason why I've had blessings is because I took that step of obedience. You see, guys, what you think is rejection is simply God's redirection. What you think is rejection is simply God's redirection. We serve a good God. We serve a big God. You see, God was bigger than the number one golfer in the world, because I beat the number one golfer in the world. He's bigger than him. God is bigger than the number 4 golfer in the world. I beat him too. See, God is bigger than the problems in your home life. God is bigger than that boy at school. God is bigger than that girl at school. God is bigger than your anxiety. God is bigger than your depression. God is bigger than your sickness. God is bigger. He's a good God. He's a good God. I want to dive into scripture real quick. I'm going to wrap this thing up. Who brought their Bibles? I see 3 Bibles. Oh, there's a flashing one. Okay, there we go. Matthew chapter 20, verses 29 through 33. As Jesus and the disciples left the town of Jericho, a large crowd of people followed behind. 2 blind men were sitting beside the road. When they heard that Jesus was coming that way, they began shouting, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." "Be quiet," the crowd yelled at them. But they only shouted louder, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." When Jesus heard them, he stopped and called, "What do you want me to do for you?" "Lord," they said, "we want to see." Jesus felt sorry for them and touched their eyes, and instantly they could see. And then they followed him. There's 4 points I want to talk about through this passage that really struck home with me and really kind of culminated my entire life. Number 1 was that they persevered. Those 2 blind guys, they persevered. They didn't give up. Even when people were telling them to be quiet, telling them, "Shh, what are you doing? Stop it." They yelled louder. They yelled louder. "Lord, have mercy on us." This is also important, to surround yourself with the right people in your life. Do not surround yourself with people that are going to shush you. They're going to try to keep you down, to keep you quiet. Surround yourself with people that are going to push you to Jesus. To tell you, to grab your hand. "Hey, he's over here. He's over here. Come on, come this way. Jesus is right here. He's right around the corner." Surround yourself with people that are going to push you towards Jesus. So if you're in a relationship, that's pulling you away from the Lord, get out of it. If you're doing some things, doing some activities that are pulling you away from the Lord, don't do it. Stop it. Dive into the Word. Have a relationship with God. Number 2, don't compare. Don't compare. You see, when I was working at UPS and working at that sawmill, I was following a couple people on social media that were my friends, I was close friends with, and they were playing on the PGA Tour. They were having success. And here I am throwing wood around, throwing boxes around, thinking, why is that not me? God, I know you. We have a better relationship than those people do. Like, why aren't you helping me out? Why are you blessing them? I had to stop following them on social media because I was comparing. You see, if these people would have compared themselves to the other people that God was tending to, they would have left. These blind guys were in the right place at the right time. Yet, if they would have compared, they would have left. They would have left defeated. They would not have received what God had in store for them. So please do not compare. God has a special plan for your life. God has a special plan for your life. Number 3, tell Jesus what you want. Look at this scripture here. Look at it. Jesus asked 2 blind people, what do you want? What do you think, Jesus? What do you think they want? They want sunglasses. What do you think? Why did Jesus ask 2 blind people what they want? Because he wants you to ask. He wants you to ask for help. I know it's hard. I know it's hard to admit you have a problem. I know it's hard to go to Austin and say, hey, Austin, man, I'm struggling. I know it's hard, but ask for help. Last one, number 4. Last 4 words in this passage, the last 4 words was, then they followed him. Then they followed him. You see, when you take that step of obedience, you will be blessed because we serve a great God. We serve an awesome God. You will be blessed. But what is the best way to worship him? Romans 12, 1-2 says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. Give your life as an offering. This is the true way to worship. Worship him with your lifestyle. Worship him with your walk. Worship him. Persevere through the struggle. Don't give up. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, if you're a Christian, storms won't come. It doesn't say that anywhere. But what it does say is that Jesus will show up in the storm. What it does say is that he will give you strength. What it does say is that he will give you peace. What it does say is that he will give you love. What it does say is that he will give you healing. What it does say is that he will bring you prosperity. Do not give up. Do not quit. Don't back down. Don't give in. You could be right on the edge of a breakthrough. You could be right on the edge. Even though you don't see any progress, doesn't mean that progress isn't being made.